easy to replace money. It's difficult to replace your time.
And when you look and sound the same as everyone else, well, guess what? The homeowner, the prospect, they want to make a smart decision. So if everyone looks the same, they're going to choose on price because they want it. That's how they can make a smart decision. That's a shortcut to making a good decision.
What the market wants from you is authenticity.
What's going on, everyone? We've got another episode here on the Nailed It Show where we are happy and excited to highlight a team member at Contractor Dynamics, and not only just highlighting a team member, but sharing some lessons from being in the trenches, working with contractors like every single day for the past several years. And so we get an inside glimpse into lots of different types of businesses, from small companies to large companies, everywhere in between. And so we have a really good sample size to be able to say, hey, these are some of the things that are working in contracting companies, and these are some of the things that people kind of get stuck with. And so we want to extract some of those lessons and bring those to you, the audience, so that you can kind of shortcut your learning curve and maybe minimize some of these mistakes, maybe avoid some of these mistakes. Certainly, we're not going to avoid every single mistake. That's part of entrepreneurship. That's part of the journey. But we're here to help you level up, help you accelerate your progress, and help you build a better business and a better life. So I'm excited to welcome my good friend Alex Kitcher here, a marketing advisor at Contractor Dynamics. What's up, my man?
What's up, Joe? Hey, everybody. I'm Alex. Work here with Contractor Dynamics. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
All right. Yeah, it's been a long time. We've been talking about this for a while, and Alex is a marketing advisor, aka sales, for Contractor Dynamics. But more than that, I mean, we have a tight-knit team where we wear multiple hats and we all collaborate. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Alex is that he's always thinking about, hey, how can we serve our clients better? How can we communicate with our clients, with our prospects, with our market in a more effective way? And I think part of the reason that he's able to bring those insights to us and to our client base is because he's got such a deep background in sales and client service and managing teams of salespeople and whatnot. And whether we're talking about sales or marketing, we're talking about how do we get the right message to the right people at the right time to engage them, to get them to take that desired action to help them improve their situation. So it's a win-win scenario. So that's a mouthful. So we'll get into all that. But let's just start with a quick background of Alex, share a little bit about, who you are and where you came from and what you're doing here and all that good stuff. Family, of course, you got some exciting news there.
Yeah. So I'll start with the family side of it because I think that's most important, right? That's why any of us do any of the things that we do professionally. It's to support the lifestyle that we want to live, and that's encompassing around our family, right? So that's the center for me. So my wife, we have 4 children now. That's kind of it's like shocking for me to say. It's probably the first time I've actually said that out loud. We have a 5-year-old boy, a 3-year-old boy, and then my wife just had twins 3 weeks ago, twin girls. So it's been really exciting and fun to introduce them to the world. Love them to death already. Yeah, so 4 kids. I'm a family man. I love to be outdoors. I love cars. I love fast cars, right? It's one of my biggest passions in life. That's been with me since I was a little kid, and it's never gone away. And professionally, so I work with, obviously, Joe here at Contractor Dynamics, work in sales. And like he said, we do collaborate very heavily with each other on servicing clients. It's one of our biggest places that personally I feel that we thrive as an organization. That's where our main focus is serving our clients really, really well. And then also I do sell some roofs here and there. That's kind of how I got my feet wet in the industry in 2016. I started out as a door-to-door sales guy, which, unbeknownst to me, I had no idea that I would be really great at that. I used to deliver packages on a FedEx truck, and, it was a really safe, secure kind of job in a small town where I come from. And so I jumped into sales, and it's something that has really stuck to me. So, that's little bit about me. Like I said, got my feet wet in the roofing industry on the sales side of things. Then I kind of moved into sales leadership, had a team of about 14, 15 people across a few different markets. So a lot of experience there, done some residential, some commercial sales, some retail, some storm work, well-versed in terms of the sales arena in our industry.
Cool, man. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about what you can bring to to us, and hopefully we deliver that value to you as well. What you bring to our company is that background in roofing sales. And so we work heavily in the roofing industry, as many people know. And so you're getting on the phone and you're providing actual like advice and insights and consulting to prospects and clients, because you have that. A lot of times you have a lot more experience than some of the roofing company owners that we're talking with. So you're able to provide a lot of those good insights, which aligns with our core value of being a trusted advisor, right? Like Alex and Dan are not just on the phone or on Zoom trying to sell anyone that has a credit card. Like, we truly want to help, and we'll provide those insights. And if you're a good fit for what we have to offer, and there's a good alignment there, then yeah, we'll walk you through our program, what that looks like. But at the very least, anyone that gets on the phone with us or interacts with our free content like this, or just comes to one of our events or something like that, they're going to walk away in a better position than when they came to us. And that's really important to us. So I just want to publicly say I appreciate that about you. You're always looking out for, hey, is this, how can I help this guy or this company? And if they're a great fit for us, great. If they're not, then hey, I'm going to give them some advice that they can use. They can go better themselves, and maybe they'll be back at some point when they're ready for us, that sort of thing.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. And I definitely appreciate you saying all that. And that is one of the biggest focuses. And for those of you that don't know Dan, maybe you guys will catch him on another podcast at some point here. But he and I actually came from one of the same companies when we got our feet wet in sales together. But having that direct knowledge on, work in sales, a lot of times when you come in, it's like door knocking. You have all of these things that you're trying to do. It's a lot to juggle for a new sales guy. But as that evolved, I started diving into a lot of the marketing aspects of business with some of the business owners that I worked with when I was in that. And there's so many correlations between the two of them, and there's a lot of value to be added to customers. And I think Joe and I, we'll plan on talking about that here in a little bit. But yeah, man, thanks a bunch.
Yeah. Well, you got to give credit where credit is due, and I'm proud to do that. So yeah, let's dive into that, Alex. So you're talking with, like, every day in terms of our marketing training programs, you are talking with companies that are looking to create a better marketing system, looking to leverage social and digital marketing more effectively to create more consistency and predictability in their businesses. So you are in the trenches all day having these conversations. I think you had a couple already today. We've got a pretty good sample size of several hundred, if not several thousand. Are there any commonalities that you see among companies that are, you could say, successful in general or with marketing, like whichever way you want to go with this? Like, what are some of the common denominators of success that you see?
Yeah. So I always like to look at both sides. Like, in all things are kind of relative in terms of this, right? Meaning, the companies that are successful, a lot of people have this stigma, if you will, and they look at these like 30, 40, 50 million a year companies, and what are they doing, right? Like, we have this long-term vision, like we all want to have this super success and live this beautiful lifestyle. But to get there, you have to put in the required work, right? And so when we look at our clients and like, what are our clients doing that are successful, even outside of our client base, right? Like, I know a lot of people in our industry, and what are they doing that's successful? There's a ton of commonalities, right? And a lot of times it starts with at the personal level, even before the business level. It's like I made a lot of notes on this actually, because this is something I'm really passionate about. But one of the number one things that they do is they prioritize things in their life and in their business. And by prioritizing, a lot of guys get so busy in the day to day, and they're going to job sites and they're doing this or they're doing that. And they tend to make excuses for the small things, like making an organic social media post. Well, when you prioritize things and you look and you understand the value of every single thing on that priority list, you have to stop making excuses and saying, I'm too busy to do these things. You have to find the time to do it. Every single person has the same amount of time in a day, and it's up to you to use that accordingly, right? So instead of scrolling on social media for 15 minutes while you're at a customer's house waiting for them to show up or whatever it is, use that 15 minutes to really dive in and be like, here's some really good content that I could post, or at minimum make a note about it, right? So prioritizing their time, which is personally, just to be transparent, like one of my biggest struggles even as a salesperson, like prioritizing time. I'm always an open book about that. is one of my biggest struggles. I still think I do an okay. I still do okay with it. Being really, really, really consistent in their activities, right? So number one, figuring out what activities actually elicit the result that they're looking for, right? So a lot of times you'll see companies posting like before and after pictures, and they're running ads and they're putting in all of this effort, which I applaud, but they don't have that strategy, right? And that's okay. A lot of people don't know what elicits the results, but you have to work with trial and error. You have to figure out what the market wants from you, and then start to create more of that and make that a habit, right? Make something habitual, right? Like replace an old habit with a new habit, because habits aren't easily undone. And so replacing them is always a lot easier. But when you make things in your life a habit, it's just going to happen, right? And so these are the types of things at like the personal level that I would say that when you adopt these beliefs and these systems, right, into your personal life, that will start to breathe over into your business life and start to make you more successful there. And then the same is true on the business side of things, right? It's making a habit out of posting once a day, right? I always say like a minimum once a day. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but posting is super, super important just for the general exposure, but then having like a strategy. So not posting like before and afters every single day, right? There's a time and a place for them. They do offer value to the market, but truthfully, like there's nothing sexy about a roof, right? So it's like take off a weathered wood and replace it with another weathered wood, right? It's like, okay, one had a little bit of algae on it, one didn't. So that's, you think about a kitchen remodel, it's like, hey, we're gonna remove all these old nasty cabinets and this flooring and this, you get new appliances and you replace it all. It's beautiful when it's done. Like that is attractive. So it weighs a little bit more when people see that it's much flashier. Also, people don't care as much about their roof. Like they just don't, even as important as it is. So you have to find a way to be super, super creative. And so again, one of the things that a lot of people are doing is having this hyper consistency of figuring out like, what is it that the market really wants from me to be able to engage with me and do business with me. Leveraging the law of attraction is something that we talk a little bit about, right? We want to be attractive to our client base.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, I'm always writing down notes in my little notebook here as you're speaking. And so you mentioned priorities, right? And the fact that you're not, the idea that you're not great at it, you're good at it and you're getting better, okay? And then you mentioned content and the fact that you have to be testing different things and you have to be out there and continually analyzing what's working to elicit the result that you want. So that's like a life lesson, life, business, whatever it is. You got to be in the game. You got to get the reps in, right? No one's 100% amazing at prioritizing and holding themselves accountable to their priorities, right? We all fall off track. I think that's one of the biggest challenges of a human is like, okay, I have these 24 hours in a day. I've got family, I've got my health and fitness, I've got my business, I've got things I'm involved in the community, friends, hobbies, whatever. How do I live the richest life I can? How do I be the best version of myself to where I can do all these things without burning out so that I have ample energy for the people that need me, right? And so that's a challenge. And so we have to just get ourselves in there, prioritize, and then review our day, review our week, and see how we can improve week over week. And it's the same thing with content, right? Like I think so many people are out there afraid to put themselves out there on social media. And hey, I'll raise my hand. I used to keep everything separate. Like I used to have my business silo on social media and then my personal, and they did not intersect. And then a few years ago, after following Gary Vee, one of the big influences in my career, and going all in, it's been transformative because people do business with people, right? So I think people have a lot of hesitation as far as putting themselves out there, but it's the same concept. You just got to put yourself out there. It's not going to be perfect. Your videos are going to be horrible. Your posts are going to be bad, but you've got to see what the market responds to, gather the data, and make adjustments. So you're asking me what I see as the commonalities of success in terms of business, our clients, whatever. It's getting in the game. It's, doing some activities, getting some data, watching the game film, improving, and then just continuing to get 1% better every day. And that's it. I'm not perfect on this podcast, neither are you. This is my I think this is our 70th episode right now, somewhere around there. And I feel like I'm still just trying to, figure out the whole interview process, right? But you're never going to be perfect when you start. So you just got to get in the game and you got to get your reps in and improve from there. So that's what I see. That's how I live my life. It's a slight edge. It's a compound effect, whatever you want to call it. I write about it all the time. I wrote about it this morning. It's about, putting yourself out there, showing up every day, and improving 1% every day. So I said that a few different ways, a few different times.
Yeah. And that actually leads me to one of the other things that I wrote down here. And to me, actually two things. These two things are the two things that I actually wanted to mention most that actually transformed me. And every person that I know that I've ever talked to that has gone from like 0 to 100 or whatever the case is, right? It's like they are intentional with their time. They're intentional with their mindset, and they believe that they can. Like as silly as that sounds, like believing in knowing that you deserve it, right? Like that's a really big deal in this. Have appreciation and have gratitude, right? Like for life itself and everything that is involved in it. It's going to be messy. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be hard. But believe that you can and believe that you deserve it and put that focus and intention towards the things that you want to bring to fruition into your life.
100%, man. My bracelet right here, believe is my word of the year, and then limitless. I believe I'm limitless. So those are on my wrist for the entire year, because we all have that self-doubt. We all have that lack of belief in ourselves. I do. Maybe this comes as a surprise to people because I might come across as confident on camera, but still, it's something I struggle with every day. It's a challenge. It's a hurdle to overcome every day, is that belief. But I read about this recently, and I think it was a Craig Groeschel book, Winning the War with Your Mind. I just finished the book this week. And I love Craig Groeschel, one of my mentors from afar. He talks about the fact that something about like our subconscious won't let us achieve to the level, will only let us achieve to a level that we can believe, or something like that, right? So if we don't have that belief, we're going to hold ourselves back whether we realize it or not. So we have to have that belief first. That's so big.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of times, like putting it in terms of like, how we work with our clients, there are companies that a lot of times is a very similar situation where you'll have a roofing or contracting company that starts up and they hustle their way to, that first level, which is like, call it $2 million, right? You can hustle, you can door knock, you can tap your network, and you can get your way to $2 million without doing really any marketing, right? Just kind of that boots on the ground, just make it happen. You work those long hours, drink a lot of Red Bull, and grind it out. And then kind of get to this point where like, all right, well, I realize I want to grow. I just cannot work any more hours in the day. I don't have any more capacity. I need to create some more leverage beyond myself. And so a lot of times with them, it's like that belief shift of like, okay, I've done these activities to get me here. I know I need to do these other activities to get to this next level. I need to believe that I am the type of person that can do that, right? That it's not just reserved for, success is just reserved for other people that can do that. It's like, I need to internalize that belief that I can do this, even if it's out of my comfort zone, even if it's something I've never done before. I think that's one of the scariest things. I think that's what holds a lot of people back from really investing in themselves. I'm not just talking about money, but like investing in like reading books or training or like really, learning how to do social media marketing or any other skill in their business. Any thoughts there, Alex?
Yeah, man. So like, talking about getting to that first threshold, so many guys and women too, obviously, like one of my favorite conversations is with women because they tend to have a bit less of a guard. Up and women tend to get like that emotional more than men do right out of the gate. And so like a lot of times I've seen like they're a lot better with social media because they understand like the heartstrings that need to be pulled to get people to engage. But yeah, so like getting to that first threshold, right, of that first couple $1 million, $3 million, $4 million, whatever that is that people are really, really striving to get. A lot of times they get there and they've almost built a bit of a prison for themselves where it's like, I have 5, 6, 7, 8 sales guys there, and they're door knocking, and everything's a little bit chaotic. They haven't really built that foundation and the processes and things like that to support the revenue that they're driving. which is kind of a good position to be in, because then you get like the opportunity and you realize like, oh, I really do need a really solid foundation to uphold this business, right? And so then they have to kind of backtrack and put things on pause instead of growing and scaling responsibly. You know, they get to that point and they're like, well, I have to reverse engineer and build my infrastructure first. Where one of the things that I love about what we do is actually take clients, regardless of whether they're at 200,000 a year or 50 million a year, we're building out those systems and processes to actually support and maintain all of the things, all of the revenue that you're going to be driving, right? And so it's like having proper lead handling systems, having proper follow-up and nurturing campaigns, and all of these things that hold all of it together. Like I was saying, was when people get there, they find themselves in this trap of like not having enough time to be able to do this, and they're stuck there. And then by the time they come around to like investing into marketing, they want to just throw their money at it, right? And it's like, I've made a bunch of money, I want to throw my money at it, and I want it to work. And one of our next topics, misconceptions of marketing, which maybe this is a good segue into it, right? But you can't just throw money at your problem and expect it to be fixed. You know, so it's like you have to learn it. You know, like any successful business has these systems and operations built out inside of their organization. Because as long as you're throwing money at a problem, you're gonna experience what the backside of that looks like, right? That's something that I know I'm really passionate about, and I find myself doing from time to time when I'm really, really busy. It's like, can I just throw money at it? Because it's like it's easy to replace money. It's difficult to replace your time and efforts, right? So a lot of people have a really hard time putting their time into something, but it's almost easier just to throw money at it.
It is, yeah, 100%. And that's something that I preach about all the time in our content is like, you don't want to wear that marketing hat. You're like, man, I'm running the business, wearing all these hats. I know marketing is important, but I don't want to deal with it. I just want to pay this company to make my phone ring. And hey, that worked, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It does not work anymore, which is why we pivoted from being a marketing agency, from like running ads for clients, to now training them on how to do it themselves, because it's that important in today's world. And that's so true, Alex, like what you're talking about. Like I think about it in terms of identity, and we're kind of at that stage where like I've done over the past 9 years, like I've done so many most of the things in the business, although we do have a small and growing and awesome team, thankfully. I have the ability to delegate, and I have the awesome people like you guys to like delegate things to, but I still feel myself like holding on to those things because I've always done them, and that's my identity. And it's really, I have to be intentional, to use your word, about delegating. And we had our team meetings yesterday on Monday, and I was talking to my wife last night, who is not involved in the business, and I was like, my win today is that I delegated a bunch of things that normally I wouldn't have, and I feel really good about that. And so I feel like it's just trying it out. It's not being perfect at it, but like, getting in the arena and trying it out and seeing how it works. And I think that's the case with companies that, like contracting companies that get to a certain level. You've got this identity that like, hey, you're the owner, you're doing all the sales, or you're ordering all the materials, or you're the one that you think every prospect or client wants to see you, right? Or wants to talk with you. And the reality is that they just want to be taken care of. They don't really care if it's you or someone else on your team, right? So we have these kind of, we have to shed our skin of these identities that we develop, and then we have to that's why vision is so important, right? We have to understand and get clear on like what we're really building, and build for that, not build for like what we've always done,
Right. Yeah. And to build on that a little bit, a lot of times, and this could be a little bit off topic, but something else that really ties into like the brand aspect of things. It's like so many guys, when they're building a brand, they think about like their logo and like yard signs and like all of these things, but they almost identify with other brands, right? It's like, what are other companies doing? They see somebody that's 5 million ahead of them or 20 million ahead of them, whatever the case is, and it's like, maybe we should copy everything that they're doing because it's clearly working. And one of the things I want to mention about that is like, that also is only going to get you so far, because what the market wants from you is authenticity. So what is your brand? Like, people, don't be transactional, right? Like, have personality inside of your brand and let the market know who that is. Like people, there is a transactional aspect to business. You know, like we're going to collect money from them and we're going to put a roof on their house. That's the transaction. But people don't buy on transaction. You know, it's like they buy from people. People buy from people, and they always will. And so it's like, especially with big ticket items like we're talking about. So you have to build all of that. You have to have that value of this is who we are as an organization. This is what our culture looks like. And I think that's one of the things that makes us a little bit attractive is that people get to see us and they know who we are and they know our names and they see us in our groups and interacting and things like that. So they know who the team is. You know, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's we train our clients to do the same things as we do. Like we follow our own advice, right? And that's why social media is not the end all be all, but it is probably the fastest and least expensive way to differentiate your company, right? Because you say you're a roofing company in St. Louis, like there's dozens of other roofing companies in St. Louis that are great at what they do, that have 5-star reviews, that are putting on the same exact products as you are with the same exact warranties, right? So what makes you different? How can you stand out? You can't talk about your GAF Golden Pledge or the fact you offer a 30-year warranty because there's a dozen other companies that can say the same exact thing. So you don't sound any different. So the way that you differentiate is you do this, you take out your marketing machine that's in your pocket right now, or that you're watching this thing or listening to this thing on right now, and you get on video. You take photos of your team, of your company, of your projects, of your, get reviews, get video testimonials, show off your community involvement and things like that. Like that is the fastest way. People do business with people, as Alex said. So like, stop sleeping on it. And that's the reason that you've got to be doing this stuff yourself. At least some of it, right? If you say, hey, I don't want to wear this marketing hat, I just want to pay some other like social media marketing company to do all the things, right? What they're going to do, we see this all the time, and you may have experienced this, listening or watching this, all they're going to do is post up this generic like garbage that they're posting for all their other contracting company clients, and you just end up looking and sounding and feeling the same as everyone else. And that's almost doing more harm than good for your company. Like while it is, it is content that's keeping your social media feeds somewhat up to date, it's just this generic stuff and like, oh yeah, just another roofing company. And when you look and sound the same as everyone else, well, guess what? The homeowner, the prospect, they want to make a smart decision. So if everyone looks the same, they're going to choose on price because they want it. That's how they can make a smart decision. That's a shortcut to making a good decision. But if you can show them who you are and build that trust and put your content out there and educate them and add value, and the right people are going to appreciate that value and want to reach out to you because you're the trusted authority. You're the problem solver. You've proven yourself. You built that relationship with them. You built that reciprocity with them. So I can go on and on about that, but I'll turn it back over to you. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah,
what else did you want to cover?
Well, that brings up a good point. Is like, a lot of guys say, well, I'm not really about Facebook or, I don't really do social media much. Well, I would highly suggest that you get somebody on your team that is, because it's like, and honestly, I think that the business owner needs to have a high level of understanding of how this works and the processes, because if you just bring somebody into your organization and let's say that they're doing a really great job, but they find another job, like, you're all the way back at square one and you have no idea how it works. Literally 99% of your market, almost 100% of the people in your market are on social media for hours and hours a day. Like and it's completely free to use. Like you don't get more market exposure than that. There is no more direct way to get in front of every single prospect or potential client in your market than to use social media. Not everyone's going to Google for a roof, or how often do you have a project in your house that like sits there for years and years and years, and your wife's telling you, hey, get this done. And I'm making a joke of myself because I'm literally in, working from my basement today and it's not all the way finished. And my wife bugs me about it every single day, but it's like side point. But regardless, it's like every single person in your market has this. It's free to use. You can connect with your market so quickly. And there's literally so many ways to organically generate business too. And the types of leads that you're able to generate through social, in my opinion, are second to none because you're building a relationship directly with the consumer. It's not somebody that went to Google and is calling 3 companies. It's like they're doing business with you because you inspired them to do that with you. So it's like there's a whole different level of connectivity there when you do it the right way.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and first of all, just to clarify for anyone in the audience, organic content is non-paid content. It's like, so you have your Facebook ads, you have, paid ads, those are ads. Organic is your free content. So that might be like on your personal profiles, it might be on your business pages, it might be in like local Facebook groups and things like that. All things that we do every day. We put out probably 10 or 12, 15 pieces of organic content every day. And that's including like repurposing things on different platforms, Facebook and Instagram stories. So getting in the habit of doing this consistently is huge. And to your point, Alex, about say Google versus social media, we're not the guys that are going to sit here and say, hey, our way is the only way, is the best way. There's a multitude of different ways to build a business, right? We're giving you, a proven system. If you work with us, you have a proven system, a team of experts by your side to ensure your success. In fact, we guarantee it. We have an ROI guarantee. But that's beside the point. Google works really well, right? So the reason Google is amazing is because if someone is finding you on Google, that means they already have a problem, right? They have, they're searching for roofing contractor, roofing company, roof repair, whatever it is, emergency leak repair. And so if you can show up there in the right spot with a nice ad, with a good landing page that converts and builds value and all that, and you're generating that phone call or that lead, like that's a hot lead. That's great, right? The downside of that is that the person that's searching for a roofing company, all they see is a couple lines of text. They might go to a landing page. They might see a couple of trust builders and things like that, reviews, and that's it, right? They have 30 seconds of exposure to your company. So they don't know if you're, been in business 20 years or you're chucking a truck who just started up last month. Like they don't really have that context. But if they're seeing your content over and over, for weeks or months or even years, they see people recommending you in the Facebook groups, right? They see you out and about around town, and they see you 10, 20, 30 times. That's such a deeper brand impression than just seeing a couple lines of text in a Google ad. One of the reasons why I love social media is that you can generate leads and business and build your brand at the same time, which is, a very good, very powerful 1-2 combination.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, people always ask when I talk to people too, a lot of the questions are like, should I be using this or should I be using this? And my ultimate question is, you should be using every channel of marketing, right? That doesn't mean jump out head first into all of them at the exact same time, right? We talk a lot about this, Joe, where it's like master one thing, like figure this one thing out, get really, really good at it, figure another thing out, get really, really good at it, right? You don't like go throw a bunch of money into Google, go throw a bunch of money into Facebook, go hire an SEO company. I mean, if you have money to spend, then great. But ultimately, then you're going to end up with a lot of chaos, right? So, and the other thing you were mentioning, like building your brand on social, putting content out, doing all of that, those same people that are on Facebook also use Google, right? So it's like if you've built a brand through social media and for whatever reason, like maybe they just can't remember the name of the company I really like those guys, but they can't remember it. Then they're in your market, they go to Google and it's like you're ranking there too. So there is crossover power between them, so it's like even if they're not directly connected to each other, you've built a brand in your market. They know who you are. Maybe they just forgot the name, so they can't search it. Then they go to Google, you pop up there. So they're like, oh, that was the company. Cool. I remember the logo. I remember the guy's face, whatever. So it's like there's definitely a lot of power in utilizing both.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Omnipresence. Like you want to be everywhere. And even as it's cool, like even as a small company, you can have the appearance of being everywhere. And that's not to say you're not trying to deceive anyone and make people believe that you're a much bigger company than you are, although that can work to your advantage. But like it's more about, I forget what the phrase is, but like when people see your brand in different places, like it helps to build that trust, right? It's right. The frequency breeds familiarity or something like that, which builds trust. That was really poorly articulated, but the more you're out there, the more consistent you're out there, the better. And one ninja trick is that if you're running Google ads, right? Like Google ads are very expensive in roofing. They work, but like they can get very expensive very quickly, especially if you don't have everything dialed in, you don't know what you're doing, you can waste a whole bunch of money. But one of the ninja tricks you can do is you can send Google traffic to a landing page on your website, right? and then you can retarget those same people on social media. So the use case is, okay, it's 12:41 Eastern right now. I'm Googling in my phone for roofing company near me, right? I go to Alex's Roofing, alexroofing.com landing page, check it out. All right, I'm busy. Maybe I'm not ready to like call them right today. But the pixel, Alex, you have your Facebook pixel on your landing page. Later tonight, I'm browsing Instagram while I'm, waiting for dinner to cook, and bam, there's your face in my feed. And like that's stuff that the big companies like Amazon and, Yeti coolers and all those guys use on us because it works, right? And the cool thing is that we as small companies have that same technology to be able to do that to our prospects and our market. It's not very complex at all. It just takes a little bit of understanding of some of the fundamentals, but that's a way to stay in front of people, because you never know when someone's going to be ready. Like Alex mentioned before, it's a high consideration purchase, right? Buying a roof, getting a kitchen done, whatever it is. So just because I'm doing my research today, might be on a boring Zoom call or something, I'm just, poking around on my phone, I might not be ready to pull the trigger now. Might be in 2 months, might be in 6 months, a year, whatever it is, but you've got to stay in front of your market consistently, because you never know when any one person in your market is going to be ready to say, all right, today's the day, I'm finally going to check this off my list, right? My Alex's wife has been bugging him for 6 months to get that basement done. All right, today's the day, I'm going to check it off my list, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And you never know when that person's going to be ready to take action, so you've got to stay in front of them consistently.
Right. Absolutely, man.
So as we kind of, round third base here on this interview, Alex, I really want to hammer on the belief shifting, right? Belief is so big, whether it's, I believe in myself that I can be successful, certain beliefs I might have about my business, around marketing, about sales, about, my identity, like what I need to do as the owner in the business versus what I can delegate and things like that. So, and I think you do a really good job at helping our prospects and clients out with this. And you have a very good way of a good bedside manner in terms of like how you kind of have that conversation. So can you talk about some of the belief shifts that you see companies making for the better?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll dive into a little more specifically, like with content strategy and, ads and stuff like that, right? So what I see a lot of people doing, and this is maybe something that you guys are doing, and maybe it's something that you aren't, right? But it's something that a lot of people do in our industry, and that is just posting an ad or putting content out that's like, hey, call me today. Right? Call me today, call me today, call me today. It's a picture of a guy on a roof. Sometimes it's a Google stock image. Sometimes it's actually you on a roof. But regardless, like we talked about earlier on in the conversation, like there really just isn't anything sexy about roofing. And a lot of times people don't even know like what call you for what. Like I don't think I even have a roof problem, or I don't know, right? So it's like you have to have, so shifting your beliefs towards having like a specific strategy with your content, right? There is no one size fits all approach. So if you see other guys posting certain content, you don't actually know the insides of their business or if it's even working. So don't go copy what other guys are doing. Have that individuality and actually make content that resonates directly with who you're trying to attract, right? So a lot of times instead of being like, hey, call today, like talk about something. First off, you have to be social with your business, right? You have to get a certain level of engagement going organically with your business. You want to get people to interact with you. You don't always want to be asking for people's business, maybe shifting your belief towards like, instead of trying to just like ask for people's business all the time, shift your focus towards getting them to know you, like you, and trust you.
Yeah, 100%. We are in the business of trust, right? We're a marketing training company. You're listening to this, watching this, most likely you're a contracting company, owner, sales rep, leader, whatever. We are in the business of trust. So this is like the paradigm, the mindset that I like to have. I'm not waking up on a Tuesday and saying, hey, how can I go sell some clients on doing business with us? I'm thinking about what can we do today to be the company that our ideal prospects desire to work with, right? And I know there's a lot of companies out there that do door knocking, and that's great. That's fantastic. That's not my personal style. I want to focus on being the company that our ideal prospects are going to raise their hands and say, hey guys, I see your content. I mean, I get it every day in my DMs, not to brag, but it's like, it's cool because they're like, oh, I've been watching your content for, the past year, a couple months, whatever, let's talk. And that's such a better conversation than, when you're reaching out to someone and you're like, hey man, do you need a roof or you need leads, that sort of thing. Like you have to take that prospect from cold to sold. Like you have to do a lot of work very quickly and it's really stressful, right? But you can do the work to position yourself as the market leader where you get those people like reaching out to you. That's a game changer, absolute game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is a big misconception too of like I said before, like throwing money at a problem and seeing if it works. That's how most people do their ads. But like you're talking about, we're in the business of trust. And I've been in sales for quite a while and I've worked in the field, door knocking and all of that. And I'm going to say it on the record, like I'm a huge believer in door knocking. Like I ran a really successful team in it. It was awesome. Like, and they loved it. And I taught people how to do it and it was a lot of fun. I'm a huge believer in door knocking. But what I'm not a believer in is an organization just saying, hey, that's all that we do, for several reasons, because your salespeople get a lot of fatigue. Like it's just fatiguing. And yes, there's rare breeds out there that are like, I'll go knock doors every single day, all day, and I'll do that happily for the rest of my life. That is the rarest occasion, even amongst the best of the best salespeople, right? And so what we want to do is actually create a system and a process that helps the door knocking process win even more. Right. So it's like, how can we be more building a brand, like getting the market to know us, like us, and trust us, and putting out content that gets the market highly familiar with us. It does a plethora of things, right? We can generate legitimate digital leads from that. We can nurture those leads all the way through the process. We can use those leads to open up neighborhoods to send our troops out into and door knock. So you have social proof, you have trust built in the community. You're already doing a job in that neighborhood. So that opens the gate for a sales guy to go in there and be a lot more successful. So a lot of times when it comes to door knocking, right, it's like you want to give them the best opportunity they can possibly have to win inside of a neighborhood. And if you can generate 3 or 4 leads in a single neighborhood with geo-targeted ads, or 5 or 10 or however many, depending on how big the neighborhood is, and then you send two people out there to door knock, like they are so much more successful in their endeavors. And so that gives you a lot more buy-in. You get to keep people in your organization for a lot longer. Sales guys aren't jumping and maneuvering and trying to do different things and stuff of that nature. So, like I said, being in the business of, like you said, Joe, being in the business of trust, from a sales standpoint, I can say that maybe on one hand, I've encountered 5 times in my entire career of sales, people that were just looking to buy on price. Yet I hear a lot of people talk and say, I didn't get the sale because they just went with the lowest bid or they went with the lowest guy. And to me, it's almost like it's a silly excuse for, I wasn't able to add enough value. And that relates back to building your brand. Like you have the opportunity to actually create an atmosphere where people are comfortable doing business with you, oftentimes before your sales guys even knock on the door or run the lead. And so that's one of the other things we talk a lot about is having the right nurturing campaigns. And for those of you that are our clients, or have been on a call with us, you've seen what that process looks like. When you come in and you book a call with us, like we have a ton of content. We tell you exactly what to expect, exactly how long it's going to take. We help set you guys up to be prepared for the call. We want you there. We want you ready. And most of all, we want to earn your business. But even more importantly than that, we want to make sure you guys leave that call with the right mindset, and at least with a lot of value to point you in the direction that's going to help you be more successful. And that's our genuine mindset. And so as a contractor, what does that look like, right? It's like, hey, this is how long our appointment's going to take. These are the important components of your roof. This is who needs to be home. And then you want to add value and have testimonials in there and all kinds of fun stuff like that. And they're getting that communication several days in a row, and it warms them up so much. And so I know I went on a bit of a tangent there, Joe, but is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, bottom line is like trust. Like we beat this drum for the past, almost hour, and rightfully so. It's like it's not complicated. There's no fancy magic funnel or something that you have not yet heard of, right? Like it's the way that you buy, the way that you make purchasing decisions. Your market is making decisions the same way, right? So like, when's the last time that you opened up your phone and you saw an ad that said, contact us today, and you contact them today and you gave them $20,000?
Right.
I'm going to guess never, right? So don't think that your market is going to do the same thing. You're not, no offense, you're not special, Mr. or Mrs. Audience member, right? Like there's the rules of the market apply to you as they apply to us. So think about how you do business. Think about how you do research. Think about how you and your spouse or your decision makers make decisions. All right. It's usually after some careful consideration. Companies that you trust, you're not looking for the lowest price. Well, guess what? Your prospects, they buy the same way. So when in doubt, put yourself in hey, this is like age old, things that I teach my kids, right? It's like put yourself in the other person's shoes and be empathetic as to, what they're thinking and what their situation is, and meet them where they're at. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I appreciate you sharing those insights, Alex. We're going to wrap it up, but I would love to bring it back full circle and get into some personal kind of questions in a little rapid fire round if you have time for that.
Absolutely. I definitely do.
All right. We're going to hit you with 5 questions, pretty quick questions, just to get to have some fun and get to know you a little bit. So one of our core values here at Contractor Dynamics is that we are continually learning and improving. So on that note, I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the current book that you're reading?
I'm glad you asked. I actually have it next to me. I'm just starting it. Kingdom Man by Tony Evans. I've heard a lot of really great things about it. Really excited to dive into it. I've actually had it sitting on the shelf for about a year, so I'm excited to dive into that. I'm also a Star Wars fan. Like a lot of people are a little surprised to hear that whenever they have known me for a while, but like I read Star Wars books, so I kind of cycle between like personal development style of books, and then I'll read like a fiction book or whatever the case is. You gotta have a little fun, right?
I agree. I always read 2 books at once. I read like a personal development or business development in the morning, and then at night before I go to sleep, I read sometimes like a biography or something that is not getting my wheels turning at night. That's cool. I haven't heard of that book, but I wrote it down. I'll check it out. Speaking of morning, what is your? Do you have a morning routine? If so, what's that look like?
Yeah. So I used to have a little more of a strict routine before my twin girls were born. Obviously, like we're up several times throughout the night doing this, doing that. I mean, the other night we literally went through like 18 diapers between the 2 of them at nighttime. So it was kind of crazy. Absolutely insane. But yeah, I mean, my typical routine is like wake up and I usually like to find a lot of enjoyment like in my morning, and that's like being with my family. I cook bacon and eggs like several times a week with my boys. Danielle's usually upstairs hanging out with the girls as maybe they're napping because they've been up all night or whatever too. But a lot of enjoyment. So typically, I'm up between 5 and 5:30. As I said, right now that changes a lot. I enjoy my sleep. So I get up. I used to go to the gym first thing in the morning. I tend to like that a little bit less. Usually I go in the middle of the day, pack it right next to my lunch, or I'll try to go in the evening. But yeah, that's pretty much my routine. Nice.
I like that. Yeah. Definitely you get a little bit of a pass now that your twin 3-week-old daughter is like, definitely it's hard to keep on a routine there. So I get it. We'll give you a little grace.
Cool.
All right. So you mentioned, Alex, that you're a car guy. What is your favorite vehicle? This can be something that you own or something you aspire to own or just something that just kind of catches your eye.
Yeah, so absolute favorite car all time is a Porsche 918. Coolest car ever. It sounds amazing. It's beautiful. It's awesome. My car, I have a Corvette Z06. Put a lot of money into it. It's wicked fast. It's a tremendous amount of fun. I don't know that I could ever sell the car. I mean, I absolutely love it, and it's a tremendous amount of fun.
Nice. When are you getting that Porsche?
Oh, geez. Maybe in a few years. I got to buy the house and the property first.
All right, all right. Well, hey, everyone, schedule a strategy call with Alex so he can sell you and make some more commissions and afford that 918. You want him to win, right? We want Alex to win. Let's go.
Right. Yeah. Book a call. Let's go. We'll help you win.
All right. Well, this is a question I normally ask my guests here. Being that you have 3-week-old twins, you might not be traveling for a while, but do you have any travels? What's your next travel destination, if any?
Yeah, actually we are. We're planning to go to Gulf Shores, Alabama with some other family members. So we'll bring our whole family down there end of June. So we'll be going to Gulf Shores, like I said, end of June with a bunch of our other family. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun.
Oh, cool.
It's actually a good time. I mean, if you guys have newborns and haven't traveled with them, it's actually the best because it's like they're not old enough to crawl around and eat sand and do all the annoying things, and you don't have to pay as much attention to them, right? Feed them, let them sleep, and play with the kids, right? So
it's so true. I mean, newborns are pretty. As long as you get some sleep, they're pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So one more thing, you've got a free Saturday. You've got, all your chores are done. You're not working. What's like an ideal Saturday for Alex Kitcher?
Yeah. So personally, like, I mean, I love lifting weights. Like it's one of my absolute favorite things to do. I've always loved it. So I'm always going to be in the gym at least for an hour. But other than that, like I said, it's hanging out with the family, maybe take my boys fishing or, do anything family oriented. I mean, our typical Saturday is hanging out with our family, not just us, but with our extended family and things like that. So whatever the activity may be, it's always going to be with family. So
that's awesome, man. I love that it comes down to that. We started with family, we're ending with family, and it's a perfect way to wrap it up. So I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for putting on a nice button-down shirt and hopping on the podcast and sharing your insights. I know that we're just kind of, this is the tip of the iceberg, but you're definitely a huge asset to the team here at CD, and I appreciate you, and good to catch up a little bit.
I appreciate you too. Thanks for having me on, and we'll chat soon.